Here are 10 songs that really help with mental health. And I mean, Lou and I wanted to do this episode for a while because, it's always nice to, bring the community together and talk about these situations that everyone feels in their lives. So, Lou, talking about this, what does music mean to you, and how have these songs in particular helped you through your tough times?
Yeah, I just love that hip hop has always advocated for mental health. And from my own experience, music's always kind of been very therapeutic for me. It's given me a sense of serenity and peace during the wildest times and the most low points in my life. And I feel like a lot of the songs on this list will offer comfort to a lot of people listening to them, and it's just beautiful to get a new perspective on an issue that I could relate to and that so many other people could relate to. And by the way, guys, let us know down in the comments which songs have helped you with your mental health struggles or any other personal issues, because maybe that song could help somebody else in the comment section. And by the way, our Instagram DMs are always open if you guys ever want to talk about any of this and bring these issues to us, because we're here for you guys. But Ant, I'll return the question back to you. How has music been therapeutic in your life?
Well, it's always kind of put me on a different vibration, and I feel as if when I'm at low points, I need to find something that's going to bring me back up. And I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that. Some ways are better than others, but I find music has always been my therapy for that. And certain albums or certain songs, have either writing or production styles that, kind of take me out of that mood and put me in a much better place. And I've been at low points in my life. For example, I'll put on Mac Miller's Swimming, and, I'll go into a completely different zone just because I'm able to hear, Mac's perspective on certain problems, and the same thing for Kid Cudi. So that's the way that we want to compile this list, like no particular order, just 10 songs that you guys could use for your playlist or whatever it is. And as Lou said, you could help someone out by dropping one of your songs in the comments section. So let's start off the list. Let's start off with 24 by Kanye West.
Yes.
This is one of the more recent ones. So how has this helped you in recent times, and what do you gain out of a song like this?
Yeah, I just feel like this song is a warm hug, because when you look at the way the choir is serenading Kanye, when you think about how delicate Kanye's approach is with the vocals, and the fact that this is actually a tribute song to Kobe Bryant, and I feel like this song will be very important to people that are going through a grieving stage in their lives, because that's exactly what the subject matter entails of, is Kanye kind of saying how he's hoping that there's a smooth transition, not only for Kobe Bryant, but for his mother and for anybody else that has lost someone. So I think that's where the strengths lie within the song. And it's the epitome of the perfect Kanye West gospel song, to me at least. So
that's true. It is top tier Kanye gospel, and I also love the choir in back. I mean, especially for what it does for your vibrations and puts you on a different sort of energy level. Like, it kind of puts everything clear and in perspective for you. That's the type of I would say insight that I gained from 24, and especially when you're going through a grieving process, and I have gone through a grieving process recently. And when I've put this song on, it gives me perspective, because you got the choir vocals going on, you have Kanye with his subject matter, and it leads you into a much better place than maybe that rabbit hole that you get yourself into. So that's the first song on our list, guys. Let's go on to Self-Care by Mac Miller, and this is a major one for me. I mean, I remember being 18 years old and kind of lost in certain areas, and kind of questioning what I wanted to do in my life, and questioning my worth. But what Self-Care really advocates for, at least in my opinion, is understanding who you are as a person and the value that you bring to this table, and especially understanding that you have a place in this world, and there's full of waters to tread. You can't stop at a certain point, and you can't get yourself in a rut, because there's so much potential. So what do you gain out of self-care? And while we're on the topic, just talk about swimming and how that's helped you in certain instances.
Yeah, I love the album Swimming, and I just think that, to hear Mac Miller be so vulnerable on that album, and just the idea of that album being him trying to figure out how to navigate on his own accord and move on his own terms, and also just like keeping his head above the water, despite whatever issues are surrounding his life. He's just trying to, float and kind of be present in the moment. So with the song Self-Care, I really appreciate it, because what's cool is the fact that this song went 3 times platinum, but it's not your traditional hit song. It doesn't have the radio appeal. It's not a hype or, club type of song. This song stands out because of the message. And at the end of the day, Mac Miller has lyrics like "We gonna be good." And when I play that song back and hear him say a lyric like that, "We gonna be good," to me, that's Mac speaking to himself. That's him giving himself positive affirmation, saying like, within this positive self-talk, I'll be able to find my way out of this hole. I'll be able to bounce back better than I ever had. And this song is just an emotional juggernaut. I love the beat switch, and I just love that idea that, you know, someone like Mac Miller who has that stature, who is taking care of so many people in his family, putting so many of his friends on, maybe you lose sight of yourself. And I feel like I've experienced that too in my life, where I do a lot to try to push other people forward and maybe lose sight of what's going to be therapeutic for me, what's going to get me through these tough times. So
and there's something beautiful that I've gained from this song. In order to be selfish, you need to be selfless, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've gained throughout this song. And even seeing, you know, the transition from that beat switch, kind of like the uprise, you know, because self-care on, you know, the first half is a bit, I would say, a bit gloomier and let's say tempo, and then after, and like atmosphere, and then once that beat switch kicks in, it feels as if, okay, like now we're on the adventure, we're ready to go. But let's go on to the third song on this list, and this is Love Yours by J. Cole. And I've seen so many J. Cole fans talk about this song on Twitter, YouTube comment section, and how this song has personally helped them throughout so many trials and tribulations in their life, because J. Cole is the mogul rapper. You know, he's the guy that's, you know, gone 6 times platinum on, you know, certain singles, you know, platinum with no features. But he's also the rapper that's vulnerable, and that explains to you that his life isn't perfect. You know, he doesn't have a, you know, let's say a perfect life. And, you know, what he's trying to also explain to you is that no matter what type of stature you're trying to attain or that you're at, there will always be something bigger and better, and therefore you should just love yours and appreciate what you have in front of you. So, you know, what did you learn out of this song, and how have you applied the content matter of the song to your own life?
Listen, man, J. Cole, like you said, he's a man of the people, and if you can't relate to this song, are you even human at that point? Because everyone that I've ever showed this song to, they've gotten emotional, and they've just been really in awe, you know, due to the message of the song. Because when you look at a lyric like "there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours," I mean, to me, that's one of the most important messages in hip-hop history, and this has helped people worldwide. And it's pretty interesting too, because I saw an article on MTV.com, and the name of the article is "J. Cole Changes Lives, 12 Fans That Tell Their Stories," and a lot of them speak on the impact that Love Yours had on their lives. And what's interesting too is that right after the album came out, there was a fan that penned a letter to J. Cole, and he was actually a homeless man who had planned to commit suicide that very week that he heard Love Yours. And Love Yours made him change his mind because it gave him strength and motivation to keep going. So this is a song that has saved lives, and I think that you know, that message that J. Cole brought, and he kind of uses his rise to fame as a caveat to say, like, you know, there's always going to be something better, but you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to be grateful for what you have in life, and that's something that I've always carried with me, and I feel like that's also something that's made me want to chase less in my life and kind of value what's really important, like family, like love, these things that we take for granted. So what J. Cole did here was brilliant, but let's move on now to the next song on this list, and it's Jocelyn Flores by XXXTentacion. And I think out of all the songs on this list, tell me if you agree, this is maybe the most difficult to listen to.
It is very difficult. And listen, you know, like I don't maybe want to get too deep into the content matter here, because like I feel as if it's extremely dark. I mean, you know, I have trouble talking about it just because like when you go into the song, you understand like what the storyline's about and how, you know, X lost a very close person to him and, you know, how he attributed this song to her. But again, like this is a song that really has to do with loss and the grief process and being in that sort of mode, but understanding that there's a certain circle to life that happens, and that at a certain point, the way to be able to get over grief is by accepting it and to be able to, you know, sort of embody that. And I remember the first time I heard Jocelyn Flores, I was floored. Like I didn't even know what to think anymore, because you go through the Genius annotations and you go through the whole motion of it, and even if, let's say, you can't directly relate to the situation that X is in that situation, you understand what he's trying to tell you and how you have to be accepting of certain natural nuances that happen in life and certain things that you're going to observe that are going to rattle you and certain things that are going to haunt you, but you have to go through the motion with it. And I think especially for a younger generation as well, this song has spoke volumes. I mean, there are so many young listeners that could really connect to this song because they've always connected to XXXTentacion's music. He's always been a big advocate for mental health and bringing his fan base up. And I think that this is that song for the generation. This is like that comfort for them, especially within that fan base. So I'm going to ask you that same question, man. What does this mean to you? And why do you think this song deserves a place on the list?
Yeah, I just think that when you look at even X's performance, how raw it is and how emotionally jarring his vocals are, it's just beautiful to listen to. And I feel like he captured that sentiment of what it feels like to feel alone. And I feel like a lot of people will go on listening to this song because, you know, sometimes when you're at a low point in your life, you just want someone to relate to, and you want to be in a space that's similar to the space that you're in. And I feel like when I listen to this song, it's like X is giving me company. It's like we're kind of, I know this sounds a bit stupid, but like we're kind of feeling depressed together in a certain sense, because those emotions that he's bringing out through the aesthetic of the song do really bring out this isolation feeling that a lot of people might be going through, and being able to share that experience with someone else could be very healing for a lot of people. And I think that's why Jocelyn Flores has the reputation that it does.
It does, and even the production style is beautiful because it's very mellowed out, and it's very, I would say, traumatic as an experience as well. Like I remember, like just listening to X's lyrics and how raw he was on it, but also hearing like, you know, just that calm, I wouldn't say calm, I don't even know how to explain it, bro. Like it's such a deep song to go through. And I mean, listen, if you haven't gone through Jocelyn Flores, please give it a visit. But it is an incredible listen and has definitely helped me through tough times in my life. But let's go on to the next song. We have Heavenly Father by Isaiah Rashad off of Sylvia Demo. And this is another big song for me because this talks about different things, and especially having that father presence in your life, but not maybe the paternal, you know, father presence, but also the father presence of God. And
having both.
And playing those both. And, you know, what that directly does to you if you're missing one of those links in your life, and how depression comes through if you don't have it, and what type of other situations might come through. And there are so many people that go through those types of family struggles where, you know, they don't have someone in their life like that to be able to give them guidance and, you know, give them that sort of vision to be able to live a better life. And there's an even bigger amount of people that probably don't feel connected to God and don't understand, you know, what that could bring into their life and what type of joy and light that could bring to the table when they're moving forward. And do you think that this is probably one of Isaiah's best songs ever? Like, I think so. Like, at least in my opinion, it's one of my favorite listens in his discography.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his best songs. And I mean, SZA's hook on this is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it. And you know, she's singing Heavenly Father, why are you so far away? And like you said, it relates to Isaiah not having a relationship with his father, and also maybe feeling distance between himself and his spirituality and God. So it was a very impactful song when I first listened to it. And what it did for me is kind of like seeing how introspective he was, how vulnerable he was, how open he was through the writing of this song. It kind of encouraged me to kind of voice my thoughts and my feelings with loved ones that maybe I would have internalized if it wasn't for getting the motivation to speak out on them the way that Isaiah does on this song. And like you said, it's a song that, you know, Isaiah tackles so many topics such as depression, self-harm, and so many things that so many of us go through. So it's just cool to see how raw and real he was on this track. So this is definitely another standout, and one that also it kind of feels very soulful too. Like this is soul food for me. So great song. Let's move on to the next. And this is definitely, I would say, the most uplifting song on the entire list, and has maybe the quickest tempo as well. And it's Everything is Everything by Lauryn Hill off of the Miseducation of Miss Lauryn Hill. And what's absolutely crazy to me is that Lauryn Hill recorded this when she was only 22 years old, and to have soaked up all the wisdom and life experiences that she had at such an early age, and then be able to, you know, bless the world with it is an amazing thing. And on this song, she is kind of advocating for the youth and the struggles that they might be going through. And, you know, that whole, I would say, motto of everything is everything is just speaking about how you can't really control the circumstances in your life, but you can control your reaction to, you know, what life throws at you. And I think that's what I took away from this song, is that there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always going to be a silver lining, no matter what your situation might be in life. So I think that's what I love about this song so much, and it's one of her best rapping performances ever, in my opinion.
That's very true. It's definitely one of her best tracks of all time. And fun fact about this song: there's actually John Legend, that plays the piano in back when he was virtually unknown. So that was very cool. But yeah, I love the concept of everything is everything, because you could only control what you could react to. You know, like that's the only thing you you could possibly do. And a lot of people have a hard time accepting that, because certain things will never fall into place exactly how you want them. And I think that's what Lauryn Hill is talking about in this song, or at least that I took out of it, is, being able to navigate on the fly and be like, okay, you know what? This situation presented itself in my life. How am I going to be able to react to this? Do I take option one or option two? And how would each of those options either better or worse in my future? And that's a very deep thing to talk about, because, think about that. Like, we're presented struggles in our everyday lives, right? Like, regardless if it's good times or bad times, we're always struggling. We're always going through a constant challenge. And I think what Lauryn Hill is trying to say here as well is, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, there's growth to be taken out of that, and there is even a step forward to be taken out of that, and that's something that I've applied to my life. So is that something that you took out of this song as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that, what Lauryn Hill did here was, I would say, speak a message that everybody could relate to. And I think that's why it'll have such a special place in our hearts, and hopefully for yours as well. But let's move on to Feel by Kendrick Lamar off of 2017's Damn. And starting off with the production, I love how laid back it is and how toned down it was, while also being very atmospheric, thanks to everything that Soundwave did on this track. And this song is super interesting because the rhyme schemes from Kendrick are just so organic, and I feel like he's really expressing all of his different emotions and how overwhelming they could be. And that's kind of where I relate to this song, is just the overthinking, the self-doubt. I feel like Kendrick just he's expressing what it's like to not have everything figured out, even though he's at the position that he's in, and him doubting who really has his back, who's praying for Kendrick, because he's at a position where he's taking care of so many people, but are people looking back the same way at him? So I think that's what's really cool, because we often have these days where there's so many thoughts flooding into our heads, and there's so many emotions that are conflicting with each other, and sometimes you want to feel like you have to explode and just unleash all of it. And I feel like that's what Kendrick was doing on this song. But as a big Kendrick fan yourself, what makes this song more therapeutic than, let's say, other tracks in his catalog?
Well, this is one of my favorite Kendrick songs of all time, and I think it's actually one of his most underrated, because I want to go to verse 1 on this because it's very interesting, and I'm not going to go through the whole verse, but Kendrick is like literally talking to you. Like, it feels like he's literally like venting to you about how he's feeling about certain situations. So I feel like I feel like a chip on my shoulders. I feel like I'm losing focus. I feel like I'm losing patience. I feel like my thoughts in the basement. I feel like you're miseducated. Feel like you don't want to be bothered. Like, there's this sort of feeling where Kendrick is, kind of running into a wall, where he feels chest tired, where he doesn't feel as if everything is going his way. But it's not to say that, he's going to give up now, because the thing is that what I gain out of this song is, if Kendrick Lamar is thinking and feeling these things, the same thing that I am, and, looking up to him and feeling so much from his music spiritually and consciously, whatever you want to call it, this has a big relatability factor for me, more than any other song of his, maybe besides Fear and other songs, because, Damn advocates for mental health on different levels throughout different tracks. But on this one, it's very special because I feel as if it's the most raw from his point of view, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, it literally feels like, again, Kendrick's venting to you, and he wants you to listen now. He wants you to be his therapist, and he wants to bleed his emotion throughout the track.
It sounds like he gets a lot off of his chest,
exactly.
like emotions that he internalized maybe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel as if is good for the listener, because a lot of people have a hard time doing that and expressing their emotions and expressing what they do, maybe not even talking about it, but expressing it through art, expressing it through different things. And expressing it in a good way. And I think that this is what Kendrick did here, because instead of, you feeling like you're going to Kendrick with your problems, he comes to you with his, and he reverses the roles, but it has sort of that effect on you where, like, fuck, you know what? I am not the only one in this situation. So, we've been through the list and everything, and I want to ask you another question just before we get on with the last 3 songs. Why do you think music is so important for people's lives, especially now moving forward, where, there's so much pressure to do things, there's so much pressure to be perfect, there's so much pressure to make money now, like there feels like there's this overabundance of, let's say, pressure right now in society, especially with technology. Why do you think music is that perfect break within everything?
Yeah, I just feel like, of course, music has always been part of our culture, and when you're looking at songs that breathe life into people. You think of songs that advocate for mental health, and the beauty of the therapeutic aspects of music, I would say, is the fact that you can just tune out. No matter what you're doing, you can use music as a sense of escape, and not only as a sense of escape, but to gain clarity, to know that you're not alone in experiencing certain issues, and also kind of, to use them as a way to move forward and, gain advice from artists that we look up to, because so many of our favorite artists are leaders in their communities, and they're kind of advocating for, for change, for positive change, and for ways that we could improve our day-to-day lives. So I think that's what's really important about music. But what about you?
I think it's just the relatability factor to feel like you're not alone, because sometimes it's hard to sit next to someone and express them all of your emotions, because sometimes emotions can't even be expressed into words, and it's only a feeling that you have inside. And music is all about feeling. It's all about energy. It's all about understanding what frequency you're on. So I feel as if music has that sort of tool that allows you to be able to break out of a certain mode and just put yourself in such a positive place. And that's what I love about it. But let's get back on track, guys. Let's go on to Hold On, John by Blue. And listen, I know you're a massive fan of this song, so I'll let you take it away. Like, what has this done for you? And why do you think more people should be familiar with Blue, especially for how deep and introspective the writing is on this song? Like, what do you take out of all of this?
Yeah, so this is a really special song, probably the most underrated on this entire list. And if you guys want to find the song, search up Johnson and Johnson, and that's the name of the duo that is composed of Blue and the producer Mainframe. And what Blue does here lyrically is super impressive. I think that when you look at the depth of the writing, this is the most dense song on here. And Blue is kind of taking you through not only issues that he's experienced, but issues that are relatable to everybody. But the way that he's talking about them is way more descriptive than you'll get in your everyday conversation. Because if you look at certain lines like him saying, I have to buy black suits, or him saying cracking brews and lighting cigs to ease the pain. He just has a way with words where he's painting this picture, and he's really speaking about all the different things that he's gone through. And I think what's really cool about this song is how meta it is, because if you think about it, he's sampling John Lennon in terms of the song Hold On. Not only does he sample the production, but he's also sampling John Lennon's powerful hook on that song. And the same way that I'm listening to Blue to get a positive outlook on whatever issues I might be going through, Blue is doing the same thing by listening to John Lennon within this track and by sampling him. And what's cool is that there's even a connection between Blue and John Lennon lyrically, because if you look at, for example, the end of the first verse, he raps, I gotta make it through these hard times, John, sing it to me. And then the chorus plays, and the chorus reads out, hold on, John, John, hold on, it's gonna be all right. So I just love to see that artists themselves also are using music as a tool to gain inspiration and to gain a sense of serenity. And it makes me connect with the artist on a deeper level, because it shows the human aspect of them. So how do you think that this song plays into the therapeutic side of music?
Well, I think it's all about, hope and prosperity, like, trying to be just, stable, being, in that saddle, and, just understanding that, yes, there's going to be certain things that are going to push you around, and there's going to be certain situations that are going to throw you off, but those things are not necessarily bad again. Like, that's something that I really want, to at least express on my end. Something that I've learned, going throughout all of this is just, it's really about sticking in there and understanding that every lesson is a lesson. A mistake is only a mistake once you think about it as a mistake. And that's what I think I get out of this song, is just staying in the saddle, understanding that there's always going to be hope, no matter what the situation is. There's always going to be sort of that light at the end of the tunnel. I know that sounds pretty cheesy, but I mean, it's true. Like, even in the darkest of hours, there is always that one little speck of light, and it's really about moving yourself towards there and putting yourself in a positive headspace. And I think that's what it's done for me. But let's go on to the next song. This is going to be Ain't Gonna Stop Me by Reggie. And first of all, fantastic production by Kenny Beats and Monte Booker. I love this song. But again, this song is similar maybe a bit to Hold On, where it's really about staying in the saddle. And what Reggie is talking about, going through, addiction with oxys, and, talking about how, he almost had his life taken, in his car, and how, certain people wanted to turn his car into a coffin. I love that bar, by the way. Like, that's great writing. But what's so cool about this is that Reggie gives you exactly that. He's telling you, like there are going to be times in your life where you feel as if you're on the brink, but it's really about staying in that saddle and understanding that there is going to be a path for you. And a lot of people could relate to this. There's so many people that feel as if there's no hope in their life. There's nothing else to experience. There's no more prosperity. And that's what I think sucks about being in a dark place, is that once you're in that like dark cave, you can't really see what's outside of it until you force yourself to break out of it, until you really go through that motion. So that's what I get out of Reggie's writing. But what does this song mean to you, and how have you applied it into your life in certain instances?
Yeah, so with Ain't Gonna Stop Me, I love it because of how much Reggie packs into a song that's only a minute and 30 seconds.
One verse.
Yeah, 1 minute, 36 seconds long. It's amazing to see what he's able to accomplish with that. And I think that what I appreciate about this song is how passionate Reggie is through his vocal inflections. I also like the fact that he's rapping about, his opioid addiction and how close it came to consuming him. And at the end of the day, there's a really uplifting nature to this song. And I think that's why it's resonated with me, is that he's pretty much saying, like, all this pain that I've gone through, even when it came down to my mother not being able to get me out of this rut, all this bullshit aside, I'm not gonna let all this pain consume me and overtake me. And I think that's kind of how I relate to it, is just the fact that no matter what negative energies there might be consuming you, no matter what hard times you might be going through, you have to know that you can always truck through and you can always find that silver lining, which is kind of something that we've been saying for a lot of these songs. But it's just so true, because you have to have that positive outlook. No matter how bleak a situation might seem, you have to try to, make your way around it. And I think that's what Reggie brings through here. And also, for anyone that's kind of, struggled with addiction, or that knows someone that has struggled with addiction, I think this song could be super therapeutic, because, you feel like an addiction maybe has a hold on you and it's hard to break out of it. But, Reggie is living proof that there is a way to to be free and to break out of that mold. So shout out to Reggie. He made a beautiful song with Ain't Gonna Stop Me, and his future as an artist is so bright. But let's now move on to the last song on this list, and this is definitely a fan favorite. It's Reborn by Kids See Ghosts, off of the Kids See Ghosts collab album. And to be honest with you, after getting songs like Gorgeous, after getting Welcome to Heartbreak, I thought that I had seen the best collaborations between Cudi and Kanye.
Facts.
And then I heard Reborn, and that took that top position for me, man. It really did.
It's crazy what this song means to so many people, because it's sort of the victory lap of coming over all of those dark times. And I think that that's what's so nice about Reborn is keep moving, keep moving through that motion. And what's crazy is that every single song that we've talked about, they have different writing styles, they have different artists performing them, different production styles, but it always comes down to that one singular message: keep moving forward and you shall be reborn. And this is what that song means, and what it's done for both fan bases, Kanye and Cudi's. And, we could have included something on Man in the Moon. And by the way, guys, if we discluded anything that you guys feel as if, we should have mentioned, drop it in the comments as we said. And we'll probably end up doing a part 2 if you guys wanted this, because there's so many songs we could go through. But I think what Reborn means to both of those fan bases is that victory lap of being able to get over something that feels so harsh and so dark in the moment, but once you keep moving forward, you will truly be reborn, and it feels like a completely new life than the one that you had, shedded before you. And that's what I find so fucking interesting throughout this whole song, is like, the first time I heard it, I didn't think of anything of it, to be honest with you. I didn't quite understand it until I went through Genius and I had to read the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm understanding what this means, and I'm understanding what this means to me as well. Because, again, I was talking about, Mac Miller Swimming in 2018, and I feel as if that was a pretty dark time in my life, but I had this album too come out at that time, and this helped me equally as much, but maybe a bit more, maybe a bit more later in my life. Not more like in the sense that it gave me more value, but just being able to understand that to be able to be reborn, you have to keep pushing forward, no matter, who it is. Your way of pushing forward could be different from the next person's. It could be different from, your parents, your friends, whatever it is. You have to be able to find your path to tread those waters and keep trucking through to be able to find that new life.
And when I listen to this song, I feel like there's this forward moving momentum that keeps building throughout it. And it literally feels like I'm in the back seat of a car with Kanye and Cudi, and they're driving me to utopia. They're driving me to the promised land where everything is gonna be okay. And I relate to this because I feel like this song is about personal evolution. And there was a point in my life where I kind of felt trapped by certain expectations that people had of me and certain directions that people wanted me to go into with my own decisions. And this song kind of helped me have that reset moment where I'm like, let me take control of my life into my own hands, and let me do what I love. Let me go forward with a path that is going to bring me joy. And within that, I ended up feeling like a new person. I ended up feeling like I had a whole new perspective on life. And I feel like that's what Cudi and Kanye are doing here as they're talking about how they felt reborn, through overcoming their addictions, through overcoming these dark times. And at the end of the day, it's just a song that is so positive. Like, I think out of all the songs on this list, this song is the one that takes you through a full journey, I would say.
And that's facts. And I love that. I love that analogy they used of the car. Like, even just playing this as a regular vibe, like the production is so fucking uplifting, and just being able to tune out. Like, I think that this is one of the best songs just to tune out, be in a positive headspace, and understanding that you have the power to be reborn. Whatever that means to you, whatever the situation is, you have that power. So guys, that's it for today's episode. We thought we brought in 10 songs that are going to be able to help you through personal struggles. And as Lou said, our DMs are always open on social media. If you guys have any issues whatsoever and you need someone to talk to, guys, please feel free to hit us up. I mean, we love you guys and we want to see you guys be well and be positive. And this is something that I think that you guys should talk about with your friends, because the conversation has to continue. There's so many people next to you that you don't know are struggling and need that extra hand, and maybe these songs or maybe a conversation could help them. But always lending out a hand will always help, and I could guarantee that. But thank you guys so much for watching this. We appreciate you guys all, and we'll probably end up doing a part 2 if you guys want it. But these were our 10 songs, so let us know what we missed in the comment section. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.